go down, come on down, come on mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
All right, one more thing here. We built a shelf up there. That used to be one whole thing. Now we have a shelf right over top of the all the coffee making stuff. So yeah, put that shelf in, put a little lighting in it. I think it turned out pretty well. Okay, I'm kind of back gorillaing it for a second. She didn't notice something down here. When I looked back in here, boy, that focus is terrible. Anyway, that was off, and this one was very loose. So I'm gonna try this one more time, but I think I need to change bands on that. That's what came with it. So, and this was just that black pipe, and it got really hot. So, and it was affecting my refrigerator. I think I told you that. And but at any rate, there's the brand I use, Insulate, which I use Insulate in everything in here, as far as anything that needs to be wrapped with heat and things like that. That's actually, even that little piece right there, that's what that is. That's even a sheet of Insulate. Yeah, I use it for my front windshield. Let's see if I got, yeah, use this whole brand for the front windshield, and it does absolutely great. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. The wrapping of the diesel fin. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about something. I just showed a couple things that I did. It's amazing, these lights are blowing me out. But anyway, I want to talk to you about insulation. Now, I've watched, I can't tell you, hundreds of van life videos, and some say insulation is not important. Some say insulation is important. I'm here to tell you, and I hope that this really sets in for something, but insulation is crucial. If you're just starting out, and I understand, and if there's any way, start out in the spring, so you can have the summer to insulate your van before winter hits. And if you're in a climate that, well, this doesn't get cold, and it stays, you know, 70 to 80 degrees year round, well, okay, you don't need insulation. But for everybody else, insulation is crucial. I have insulated some places triple, like behind my water tank. That has triple insulation. That probably has at least 6 inches of insulation behind it. First, the wool insulation, and then it has a 1-inch foam core, and then it has, of course, the plywood that goes on the outside of that for the actual wall. And then I have another 2-inch foam core over top of that, and then I have another 1-inch foam core, and then about 2 inches of wool, and another 1-inch of foam core. And that's the back wall that my water tank sits on. Extremely important so it doesn't freeze. Now, I thought about insulating the rest of it, but then I started thinking, and actually I think the Lord gave me wisdom not to do that, so the heat can get to it. We got to make sure heat gets to it and keeps it from freezing. The biggest thing you would have is off the wall, of course. But everything else is at least double insulated. It has, of course, the outside wall, and then it has about an inch and a half of wool, and then it has the, I don't know, it's foam core, but it's more of a soundproofing than insulation, but it's still there, and it's still part of insulation, soundproofing. And then, of course, the wall, the wood wall, the plywood wall, and then now I've put another 2-inch foam core around it. So insulation is crucial. And your water pipes, it takes what? Probably $5 to buy the round tubing, round foam tubing insulation that goes around your water pipes. Spend $5 to do that. It's that's a no-brainer. You really need to do that. Okay? And make sure that all your windows have good, solid, insulated curtains on it. At the very least, I've put another foam, I think it's a 1-inch foam insulator. Actually, I use what they put under floors, under carpet. Has worked great. It only says it has like a 0.1 insulating factor to it. But I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I've been in 20-degree weather and not a problem at all. Now, the key to that is make sure that foam is not up against your window, because then you get transfer. Then you get the cold. It doesn't radiate the cold, but the foam will be cold. So just don't do that. Create that pocket between the window. Make sure you seal up around it with Velcro or whatever. And it doesn't have to be when I say seal, I just mean like Velcro it or something. You know, I don't mean, a complete seal. Just little spots of Velcro just so you can tack it in place. It'll hold up against, not against the window, but over the window. And doesn't allow for much air to come from behind it. So insulation is crucial, very crucial. I can take a 900-watt space heater. Now, of course, I've got some decent solar, so it's going to run it during the day. At night, but even at night, I could run it. I don't know how many hours on my battery. I had to make sure I had a full charge battery to do it. But if worse came to worse and I ran out of diesel or something, dude, I can do a space heater and it cuts off through the night. Yeah, and I set it on 68 and the floor stays 68. The top part stays about 72. So I had to cut it down to 66 the other night to get the top level, because there's going to be two, and the floor is amazingly crucial to get insulated. I'm even thinking about going up underneath and putting the 2-inch foam core everywhere I can underneath. I'll let you know if I do that. I think it'd be amazing if I did. Really thinking about doing. And this stuff is not expensive. The 2-inch foam cord, I think I get it for, I don't know, $12, $13, maybe $16, something like that. The 1-inch foam core, $5, $6. If that's all you can do it. It is amazing the difference even that 1-inch foam core can make. And the wool is expensive. Don't get me wrong, the wool is expensive. And if you can get wool behind that foam core, you're in business. You're pooping in high cotton right there, bro. So anyway, the whole thing of this, insulation is crucial. I turned my diesel heater on, and brothers and sisters, let me tell you, it runs for about 3 to 5 minutes from being 50-something degrees in here. It'll pop it to 70 degrees in 3 to 5 minutes, and it runs on the lowest. And I've had to turn it down to 10. I've had it down to 9 just to keep it excuse me, just to keep it, at a decent temperature in here. Keep it around 70. Insulation is amazing. It'll save you so much down the road. And not only, it'll keep you comfortable. Keep the moisture out. The insulation helps keep that moisture from building up in your van, if you use the right kind of insulation, of course. If you just use some kind of, now let me say something else. If you're going to use like the Owens Corning, the fiberglass insulation, make sure that that insulation is sealed, like behind the walls or something, and make sure it is sealed. Make sure it's not an open situation, because believe it or not, those fiberglass particles it will get in the air. And over time, I mean, you'll breathe them. They're on a molecule level, but at any rate, if you're going to live for the rest of your life in this van, or you're going to live for a long term, yeah, make sure those are sealed, because you don't want to breathe in those particles. That's why it's done in the house the way it's done. What else? All I can do is tell you, man, insulation is crucial. It's probably the cheapest one step for the amount of money that you'll put into a buddy heater. You can well insulate your van or your bus. I mean, this whole bus, now, and think about how big this bus is. This whole bus, including the wool insulation, run me just probably, if I estimated it right, probably a little over $300 to insulate this whole bus, not including the curtains. I'm just talking about insulation. I'm not the curtains, not the. If you add the, so you probably add another $150 if you add the curtains and the foam that I put in the curtain deal, curtain, whatever you call it. I don't know. I just shoot off the hip here. I wish I had this written out so I look at my notes, but I don't. Here I'm rambling again. But guys, I cannot stress the importance of insulation. You've got to do that. I don't care what anybody else says. You know, insulation is crucial to your van life. Now, I've insulated the mess out of this. I don't think I'm done. I think, like I said, I'm going to look at going under. Of course, you can't get it around the muffler, stuff like that. You don't want to catch it on fire. But, you know, some of the places I can go, I think I really need to do it. Any insulation will help. But invest in insulation, especially on your floor. That's where all the cold air comes in. And of course it comes in, say, 24 to 36 inches up your wall is where the cold air comes in. That's where I found it to come in here. Might be different on yours, I don't know. But the floor and at least 36 inches up the wall, that'd be your first thing. But your walls need to be done. But if that's all you can do at this point, do that. Get your floor and at least 36 inches up the wall. That's where the cold air is going to come in the most. Now, of course, in the summertime, you need to get that ceiling insulated. If there's any way possible, build some kind of deck on the top, or solar, like mine's covered in solar panels. Solar panels can be a little bit more expensive to do. A deck will cost you about as much as one solar panel. Do it. It'll be amazing what it'll do to keep the sun from beating on the top. So do that. You know, you can take a regular 4x8 sheet of plywood and buy some L brackets, something like that, or some kind of brackets that sit on top. Most of them have racks. If they don't have racks, and if you can afford to put racks on, put racks. But even a 4x sheet plywood would work. Or you can do, you know, some 1x's. Make sure it's all treated. Don't, you know, treated is going to cost you a little more. But a 4x8 sheet of treated plywood, the 1/2 inch one, is what? Well, wood has gone up a lot, so probably $30 at the most. What a cheap way to keep that sun from beating on the top of your roof. And it'll also help keep in heat, because that's where heat, you know, it escapes there, and as it's escaping, that creates a buffer. Now it takes a while for that to happen, and it happens on a minute level, but it happens, and it creates that bubble. It creates that space that the heat starts gradually building back down. That's another great thing you can do. Go ahead and get your insulation in the top. You can do wool, do wool. If you can't, if you can do the Owens Corning, do the Owens Corning, but make sure that's sealed up. If you're going to do foam core, do foam core. If you're going to spray foam, spray foam. Spray foam's a little bit more expensive, but if you're in a van, you're probably talking about, if you can get somebody to do this, that small of a job, $100, $150. Okay? So anyway, I'm over 12 minutes here on this little chat, so let me get out of here. Love you guys, appreciate it. I hope this has been some help to you. Guys, really do this. I hope I've given you some little bit of tidbits. Whenever I do a foam tour, of course, I will do some more explaining more in detail what I've done. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. See you on the next one, guys.
The road